and just hello, ENTV. It is so good to see you. It's Michelle Beauchard here, natural entrepreneur, with the next episode of the Natural Success Clinic. It's been a hot minute. How have you been? We took a little hiatus to do some creative work, and we've got some good stuff for you today. So let's get started. So as you know, the Natural Success Clinic is sort of a sports desk meets entrepreneur business review. And we love to take a look at how entrepreneurs, much like yourselves online, are positioning themselves, how they create their business ecosystem and how that's built and what they build it on. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at, and if you check out guide 1, you'll see all the past episodes. This is episode 14, and I'm so excited to bring you today a wonderful lady, Susan Goodrich, the Good Witch. She is an amazing, amazing online entrepreneur, and I'm going to show you a little bit about her. We're going to start off as we do every time on Natural Success Clinic. The point is to introduce you to a new entrepreneur, where they're at in their business, and we'll diagnose by going through their offer ecosystem what next step for natural success there is. So Susan's going to be joining us here in just a second, but I'm going to share with you her stat board so I can tell you a little bit about her, because it's pretty fun. Let's just see here if I can get that up. Apparently I'm a little rusty. All right, guys, here we go. So I'm going to try and zoom on Susan's whiteboard. I'm going to zoom in here. Zoom, zoom, zoom. So Susan is in service, in entrepreneurship, in business for 27 years. She started focusing her work online since 2020, but she's a really accomplished person. She used to teach software to engineers, and she used to also do all sorts of other things related to tech, but now she has switched to her heart's passion and specializes in using human design to help heart-centered spiritual entrepreneurs. Has a podcast, and she's a fellow Canadian up here in Canada. She's over on the west side. I'm over on she's over on the east side. I'm on the west side. She's from Cornwall, Ontario, and yeah, she just got these amazing superpowers of deep intuitive knowing, holding safe and sacred space for entrepreneurs so that they can bring their best selves to light. So I'm so excited. She works in the market of helping people, entrepreneurs who struggle with isolation, who feel overwhelmed when they're maybe stuck. They're trying to follow the trends and do what everybody else does. But she loves to especially help those who are trying to maybe haven't figured out how to run the business from the inside out. Rather, they're still trying to run it from the outside in, and who cannot figure out what the slow to the flow is, like what barriers are causing them to slow down, what is holding them back from their success. So she, as a tech sort of person for many years, she's got lots of different tech, and we're going to take a look at her tech stack. She's got Techmatics, which is a version of Go High Level, Zoom, Calendly, Canva, Adobe Creative, Google Workspace, Otter AI, Camtasia, Libsyn, which is a podcast one, and then all the socials. So she is quite proficient and a really advanced business person. So she loves to help business people grow. So I am just gonna bring her right on here and hope that she's still there waiting in the wings for me. Susan, are you there? Can you start your video?
I can. Hello.
I'm so excited to have you here. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm so happy to be here with you, Michelle. I am just so honored that you have me on here to share my tech stack and whatever else I'm doing. And of course, my magic, right?
Susan is Susan Goodrich, the Good Witch. We love her. And Susan is just a wealth of information. So that's why another reason why I wanted to bring her on the Natural Success Clinic, because she has a lot of tools in her toolkit. She's a what I think Haley Joy calls a multi-potentialite. She has so many things to offer, and we're going to try and skim some of the things that she has today, and we're going to tell you about everything that she does in running her business to attract clients and to, you know, provide them opportunities that let them in at the affordability scale that they can, but then also provide them the deepening transition. So, but first, I'm just going to let her talk a little bit more, because Susan, you've been at business for a long time now. When you what led you to turn online, and how has that gone for you? How has that journey into online entrepreneurship been for you? Can you tell us a little bit about your story, and how you came to do what you do online for entrepreneurs, from tech to, you know, sole purpose coaching?
Absolutely. It was really interesting because in the early days, like what happened was, uh, I had built a business inside a business, cold calls before the internet was ever a thing. But after, in the early, well, 2012, I guess somewhere around there, 13, 14, I realized that the industry had changed. The people didn't pick up their phones anymore. So I started to learn online, like try to do online marketing to bring people into my business. But what I found was so heartbreaking, because when I was in the training, I was finding all of these women who were women on, female entrepreneurs, and they all really struggled with, isolation. And I mean, I would just see these women in tears, and it really broke my heart watching this. And I kept thinking, there's gotta be a better way. There just has to be. And even though I was still doing work, one-to-one, face-to-face in training, I was trying to sort of use the marketing process online, because that's not how I'd ever built a business. And so um, in 2020, I ended up having to sell my house in Toronto and move back to my hometown. And I just felt like there was nothing that was holding me there. But the only way that I was able to continue to work was to try and figure out how to do it online. And so that was my first venue into actually delivering online, which I finally got really familiar with using Zoom, and just like everybody else in 2020. But I also had to learn how to build online training material, and then finally I found a coaching program that would teach me the transformational processes to help women with the struggles that I saw inside these marketing programs. And so those were the pieces that I saw that were, holding people back. And that's what really drew me to do this work. And it was, even in another program where we were learning other skills, I could still see it. Didn't matter what program I was in, I could still see this. And what I also saw was that the coaches that were teaching these people and helping them out couldn't address those pieces. And I thought, I can build something. I mean, I've got 30 years as an entrepreneur, right? Basic business skills, right? I've got coaching, training, like I've got training, instructional design, stand up, that kind of stuff. And I've built relationships in sales before. So I thought, well, I'm going to build something that's around what I'm working with, because one of the programs that I was in, even I got overwhelmed, and I thought, oh, wait a minute, I need to step back. And I saw people were trying to teach us all this stuff from the outside. It was so masculine structured. And as women, we really need to work from our inside out. For me, because I know I have a really deep intuition, and anytime I follow it, it's gold.
Right. Well, so tell me a little bit more about what lights you up about what you do, though. Tell me what when you saw that wasn't being met, how did you feel about that? Like what was the you know, when you thought, "Ooh, I can build that." What was it that brought you joy about the transformation your clients would see? What was it that lit you up about, you know, to the point where you've been doing this now for a while? It takes a lot, you know, it takes a motivation to keep going. And so there must be some sort of passion, sort of driven emotion that you your soul's purpose that's behind this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, I don't know whether it's just because I've been lucky or maybe it's just part of it's been my journey. I've been on this spiritual journey for over 30 years. And I felt like there were so many women who were disconnected from their body, that they were spending so much time up here and didn't know how to connect with their body's wisdom. And I know that even though I was working in the engineering world, I had a parallel life where I had a very
Right.
spiritual journey. I had women's groups that I would belong to, these networks of groups of people, and I just allowed myself to learn how to be in my body, because then I
Okay.
learned that that's my wisdom. And
Okay, so I think I'm feeling you, because I know for me, I get like way up in my head, especially in business stuff, right? And then to bring it down, you know, is sometimes, you know, we get the outright message not to bring our emotions to the business world, right? And we don't connect with our hearts and ourselves. Sometimes it's all, you know, oh, we got to be logic and that sort of the masculine energy. And when we switch to the feminine energy, you can leave us feeling a little disoriented, you know, in how to bring that to bear for our business, because there's not a lot of like training around that. So that's amazing that you do that, and I can imagine that that would make you, you know, you mentioned the phenomena of feeling isolated. That would, you know, women love to connect that way, so you know, it would kind of be a natural to do that. So I want to know, actually, from the audience, do you guys experience isolation in running your business as an entrepreneur, or especially as a female entrepreneur? Do you is that the biggest barrier to you, or what is the biggest barrier? And then actually that would probably put it in the chat what your biggest barrier to your online entrepreneurship is, and I'm sure Susan will surf the chat afterwards and have some great suggestions for you. So Susan, if you don't mind, what I'm going to do now is kind of just like prep you guys, because what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at Susan's online offer. And, you know, every online offer, I feel, has 5 major components. You have to have a strong why. You have to have a clear offer. You have to have authentic marketing, consistent sales, and impeccable and, you know, over delivered delivery, right? So we're going to take a look at all of those pieces, but we're going to take a look at exactly what Susan does to attract people's attention, to, you know, give them something they can get to know her with, to dive deep into the transformation she wants to provide, and then to take them to the next level. So we're going to do that when we take a look. But before we get into that, Susan, what is, we asked the audience what the biggest barrier has been. What has your biggest barrier as an online entrepreneur felt like, or what's the in and where are you going in the next little while? So tell me about your goals for the next 6 months, a year, and the things that are the biggest slow to your flow.
well, the biggest slow to, well, let's see, where do I want to go? The biggest slow to my float, I think, is really just getting the language out there so that people really understand what it is that I'm doing. And it's just really getting clear in the messaging. Because I know that from what I've discovered with human design, is that, and what you were talking to earlier, and I know it might be a little off where you were going, but I want to address what you were talking about earlier. You know, that
Sure.
whole piece about not being in the body and not knowing how to manage your emotions. That's my forte. That's where I bring people into. And I know that what happens to me, because I'm kind of like, you know, neurodivergent, which apparently most of us are anyways now, is that we could get really anxious and out of our body. So our nervous systems get really out of whack, and it's really learning to bring them back online. And so I actually have something called, I believe in this thing called Bible, but not with an I. I mean, BYBBOL. So bring your body back online, which brings your brilliance back online. So those are some of the things that I really I mean, I still struggle with those, right? Like I struggle with those, but I have this process that I'm, I this which is what I want to share. And it helps us become more emotionally intelligent and so
Okay.
that we can stay in our bodies. And, that's part of what I
Okay.
do is help us
Well,
do that.
and
So,
that is huge because I mean the success of a business is largely between the ears. Oh, just trying to load your whiteboard here. Between the ears of its owners, right? And if we are not sort of centered and grounded, our business results are not going to be the same as they could be when if we don't have those things sorted out. So that emotional intelligence, excuse me, is super super important. So when you're working with, I sort of paraphrased your chart here, and I said, okay, so your target audience, let's just call them stuck entrepreneurs for sake of brevity. Can you tell me a little bit more? I started to do it here, but I feel there's more to say about when clients start with you, like they come to you, they say, Susan, I need your help. I've got X, Y, and Z, symptom, and you're like, aha, I know what you need. What are they feeling when they come to you with the problems that you solve?
well, I think they're mostly kind of confused.
Okay.
Overwhelmed is one of the things that I get a
Okay.
sense of, right? Like they're confused and they're kind of exhausted because they keep pushing and pushing and pushing and trying to, because they're trying to do it from out here and
Right.
not really listening to what's going on in here. And a lot of times they can't even access what's going on in here. And so that's where I am able to kind of bring them in. Yeah.
Okay. So tune them into their when they can borrow your intuition when they can't tap into their own. Okay. So not in tune with their
Well,
intuition.
and I know that you know a little bit about my process, right? Is about this, I create safe and sacred spaces, but I do some really deep level meditations, which takes people into the quantum field so they can see the future. Because a lot of times we can't. And what I
Okay.
know about burying our dreams, it's because we have these barriers, like we've given up things and we've got these old stories that are holding us back. So for
Okay.
transformational processes, like I have 8 steps to the transformational process, which,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. So say you take them through those 8 steps. So they've come in feeling confused, overwhelmed, exhausted from pushing, not in tune with themselves. When they leave you, what have they got in hand? Well, how are they feeling? What's their experience?
Well, they're a lot more organized,
Ah,
right? Because
okay.
a lot of times they're really kind of like everything's all over the place and they're trying to hold too many things. Because we know as entrepreneurs, we have all these things that we're holding in the air and we're trying to keep them all up here. But how do you keep them organized? So, I've organized it into, I call it 8 buckets.
Okay.
And the main thing, of course, to know is that you are the foundation of your business. And so it's not just business. I mean,
Right.
it's about you, right?
So do they, you're saying that they feel more when they feel organized, they come out more centered, they come out more focused. What are the things that
Well, it depends on what stage they're at, but I mean, I've had women who come in who only have been dabbling in a little tiny piece of something. And when I'm able to take them through, one of the processes that I have this thing called the Solo Line Business Blueprint Assessment. And
okay.
what it does is it gets they often say to me at the end, they're like, after, our deep dive, they're like, "Oh, wow, I'm way more prepared than I thought. Like, I'm way further
Ah,
ahead
okay.
than I thought," you
Okay,
know?
so they feel prepared and confident, and then they can dive in and make waves, like move the needle on their business. Okay. Okay, that makes sense. All right. So I love to do that because it's really important to be able to kind of like tell people, where you take them from and to. And, if you're recognizing yourself in the audience here, or if you're feeling these ways, definitely reach out to Susan because she's a magician when it comes to aligning your human design with your operating so that you can get organized and really tune in to your own self. I've seen her work, and it's been amazing to witness it, how those tools can really personality and profile and profiling tools can just really change your business. So Susan, do you mind if we start digging into the things that you offer and start maybe with things that you'd like to offer the audience here, maybe if they want, but the free things, like how do you generate your leads? Like what do you use? If you've got some, I think you have some meditations, but what else do you?
Yeah, so I have the emotional alchemy worksheet, which that's the process. It may be a little difficult for people to do completely on their own,
Okay.
but it's there. And it's interesting because I'd had it in my own Dropbox for years before I even knew how to use it. So, but it is,
That's awesome.
but it's
And
such a powerful tool. I use it every day. So like, I'm just going to offer it. And then I offer for, you know, deeper dives on it as
okay.
well. I
Okay.
have an mini audio course that's a takeoff on that sheet. It's called The Next Right Steps. And it literally, it's an audio talking about all the different levels that you need to go through and how to do this and how to
Okay.
utilize it. I have
Okay.
another thing, which is, your human design chart, and I'm offering, little bits and pieces about, so you can start to digest pieces about it. And I have a new
Okay.
course that I have that it's in the process of development. It's called How how to make intuitive decisions, because one of the like a decision I heard the other day, and I think this makes perfect sense. We can't create a plan because a lot of times we start planning without without having a decision, without having a clear intention of where we're going. And that is one of the things that I work with is the power of intention. We really set intentions, and like you said, the whys. I do a deep level whys, which actually helps us really is the motivation, right? That's the piece that motivates us. And so we need to have those pieces.
So do you find that you kind of work with people who are they're at a lull, and maybe they're trying to reinvent something, and they need to kind of like get in touch to the next step as well? Like I can imagine it would be great for people who are just starting because they get a sense of themselves. But then you probably can help people who are like kind of hitting a glass ceiling of sorts.
Well, I actually had this one woman that I was coaching, and she's been in business for like 35 years.
Okay.
And sh there was an inner block, like
Okay.
an inner block, and she was having trouble like standing up and being visible and, shouting out
Yeah.
like, this is what I've got. And I was able to, in literally in the first session, she had this incredible breakthrough, and her business just got this crazy momentum just after the first one. But the other thing that I was able to do for her was I was able to see where the flow is slowed. Like I could see
Okay.
there were little pieces that were missing, little gaps, even in just the sequences of what you were offering, and how do you connect that to the sales process, and yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So sort of like an overall scan, a business scan of how things are going and how they're functioning.
Well, it's even more than that because, I studied as a life coach, as a transformational life coach. So, and I really, like, for me, the reason I even started to as an entrepreneur was because I needed to have a life and outside of work, right? And
I
so, but we
feel
need
that.
to have life, because what happens is that when I do an overlay of the business over life over business model,
Yeah.
is when I dig into the other pieces, what I often find is the piece that's holding you back in your sales or your delivery or something
Yep.
else, right? There is some condition that's going on that got created
Stuck in
in
there
your
early.
personal life, like in your early life, that's
100%.
probably like in a relationship. Usually it's a relationship thing. right?
It's
Because
yeah.
most of it, right? Because I dive deep into like the 5 levels of relationships, right? So yeah, because
Oh,
I have a
that's
little piece
cool.
that I have a piece that I teach on that one as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you about your low tickets now. Like these would be sort of in the low range. I mean, some people think low is, $10. Some people think low is $500. So it's really it's in the scope of your thing. But do you have like, oh, and you also, I should say, you have a Facebook community and all your socials, right? So that's
Yeah,
also
I
free for
have
people.
the
Social.
soul what is it called? Soul Solutions Sisterhood. Yeah.
Soul
Everything
Solution
for me is
Sisterhood.
all about the soul. It's really about the
Okay.
soul. And I just learned that human design
Yeah.
has in the crown has where the seat of the soul is. And
Oh,
Gary
okay.
Zukav's The Seat of the Soul book was one of my early pieces that I'd read, and I was like, oh no, this is so in alignment with who I am. So,
Amazing,
yeah.
amazing. Okay, so then for your offers that people would just be able to get a sense of you and without a huge financial contribution, what have you developed sort of in the low ticket range?
Well, I have my meditations,
Okay,
and right, and there's, I mean, some of them are, there's a couple of free ones in there.
okay,
And what I all and then but there's another one, like there's a best, do your best work meditation, which prepares you and grounds you and gets you really, present to do your
okay,
best work. And I think it's like $11 or something.
okay,
Um, the Soul Aligned Business Blueprint Assessment. It's a month long, but I'm kind of selling it right now for $4.99
okay,
because I think it's a really great introduction. I mean, you can get it's incredible
okay,
value because you're going to get a breakthrough. You're going to get total breakthrough. And then, yeah, so those are kind of
okay,
my low to kind of mid range. I
okay,
also have, because I'm also have done dream group coaching, and I have this program called the um, Secrets to Manifest Your Dream. And
okay,
really, a lot of that has a lot to do with empowerment and how to set intentions. And a lot of the work that I teach in there, also a lot of the stuff that I teach in that one also ends up in the Soul Aligned Business Blueprint program, which is the full big program, not just the
okay. So
assessment,
this
but
is
yeah.
not the assessment, but the full one. Okay. And so are those one-to-one coachings? Are they group? How do you deliver them?
So the
So what was
assessment,
it was the Soul Aligned program, right?
yeah, the deep dive one, like the deep dives for $4.97, like I said, it's a steal because it's one-on-one. It's
Yeah.
one-on-one. And it's like that's what I'm offering it for right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's that low, I would call that more of a mid to low end, right? The
Okay.
4.99. Um, and then I haven't even priced this, the Solar Line Business Blueprint program.
Okay.
I'm offering it's going to be 8 weeks, and
Okay.
it's still pretty high level stuff. It's going to be a group.
Okay.
I want to offer it for 444 a month. So that's like 888, I guess, I wanted to do it for 3, but anyways, that's probably not enough, but eight, yeah, for around 888 for 2 months,
Okay.
so that we can deep dive on each one of the 8 buckets. And I
Okay.
have like it's more of a teaching as opposed to a coaching. So there's teaching. I want to have implementation. So there's time for you to actually stay and do the work.
Ah, okay.
Right, because oftentimes, I don't know how many times I've been in a coaching program and I've taken it, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do it. And I leave and then I don't do anything because I have a million other things. But
Right.
this
So you're
allows us
actually
to
doing it.
carve, carve the time out to do it. And
Okay.
there'll be coaching and collaboration. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the secrets to manifest your dream. Tell me about that one. Is that a coaching more than a teaching and
It's a
implementation?
teaching and coaching. It's a
Okay.
teaching one as well. Yeah. You can't
Okay.
take the teacher out of me.
So they get content to learn with the curriculum, and then the coaching works on helps them sort of digest it and work it into their
Yeah.
business.
And I'll give them a little bit of homework to go away. With that one, they get a little bit of homework because it takes time. I mean, because that's dream work, right?
Yeah.
That's big stuff.
Yeah.
And I see that this also can serve the entrepreneurs, because one of the things, because I was writing a recipe for a solo line business, and one of the things I see the ingredients is that we need to be able to dream big. Like, we know how to be able to dream big enough. Like, I love your question. What are your dreams for the next 6 to 8 months, right? Because if we don't have those outside of our business isn't going to flourish, right? We need
For
to have,
sure.
yeah.
Well, let me ask you about your big dream, your elite offer, your what you would do all day, every day, if you could, with your clients. What it or your is that for you? Is that paid speaking? Is that a special one-to-one, like small group retreat? What does that look like for you? What is your elite offer?
That what I would love to do, you mean? Or that's not
Yeah.
yet in the bucket? Yeah, I would love to do a retreat, because I'm also a yoga teacher. I also believe that so much of this work is somatic, right? Yeah, right. We
Okay,
can't
so
move it
maybe a
until
yoga retreat. Awesome. Okay. All right. And so what do you do? What is your currently your highest offer?
it's my Dare to Dream Big program.
Okay.
It's my Dare, and it's
Tell
a
us about
one-on-one,
that.
it's one-on-one coaching.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is them actualizing their soul's purpose and having their business aligned with their soul's purpose. Can you tell us about how this differs from the teaching and implementation or teaching and coaching versions in
Well,
the signature offer?
with the Dare to Dream, you're doing the Dare to Dream Big, you're doing more intensive work. You're doing one-on-one 3 times a month with me.
Okay.
And we're focusing on really clearing those old stories, those inner barriers that are holding you back, right?
Okay.
And taking the next steps, and creating practice. I mean, one of the things I've recently created is this reflection and accountability forms, which I love. I did it in the tech, because it allows you to put your information in there, and sends it to you every day to remind you. Because how often do you come away from a coaching session and go, what was I supposed
Ah,
to do?
okay, all right. Well, let's get into the tech in a second here, but I
Okay.
wanted to kind of like take a look at this. So guys, I think, Susan's got a strong why in that she's really keyed in on the soul aligned piece, and how and the human design really resonates with her, and bringing all of those things in alignment for entrepreneurs so that they can be the I like to think of it in the natural entrepreneur world as the biodiversity of the business world. They can effectively deliver their soul's purpose so that they can be the unique service and product deliverer that brightens up the world and serves somebody that otherwise maybe wouldn't have connected to those things in other ways. So her why is good, her offer is clear. She's got definitely the different pieces that she needs at the free, low ticket, and signature and elite level. And one of the things that I meant to say before is that as we go up through our client journey, value ladder, I call it offer ecosystem, is that we want to make sure that their transformation is growing. So how to make intuitive decisions, or their human design chart brings them some value. But if they then do the best work meditation and their soul aligned blueprint assessment, they're getting a little bit more of Susan's time, a little bit more value, a little bit more transformation. The signature offer kind of unlocks them a lot more, and is has them doing focus works. And then the elite, the Dare to Dream. So as you're coming up through your offer ecosystem, it should be the same essentially transformation that they're striving towards, but it's an increase in the power of the transformation, and the time that you spend as an entrepreneur. So I see that that's flowing really nicely for Susan, and she's a tech expert. So I'm really interested to hear Susan, I'm going to imagine here that you have tech in place for these ones. So you used a Go High Level called a variant called Techmatics, and you have, I imagine you have what do you have going to get these things? So you have landing pages
Well, I have,
and
I have. So I have a website, right? I built my
okay,
website inside there. And so
okay,
it has a lot of those pieces. A lot of these
okay,
pieces I've built inside the courseware
okay,
information, like some of the more automated ones. And I really want to
okay,
be able to, because a lot of the tools I'm building so that, when they're coming into any program that I can just send them or connect into them, right? Just add it to their profile, those courses, those pieces so that they can use them, right? The tools I think are really important, right?
yeah, no,
And
and you're really strong on the tech part. So you've got, and then you've got, do you have a subscription community as well?
not yet,
Not
not yet.
yet, okay.
Yeah.
But you've got the course platform, landing pages, websites. You use a lot of automations, as you said,
I
automations.
use, the workflows. Yep. The
Yeah,
workflow automations. Yep. And I was doing campaigns earlier with my podcast because we haven't even talked about my podcast, but yeah, but yeah,
oh
I was
yeah,
doing
that's
some in there and I was kind of, because I'm still kind of playing around with it. Like, am I better to create a workflow for it, or should I just, do the campaign? So I'm, dabbling in both. Plus I do my social media, most of the posting inside of Techmatics as well, right? Because you have that
okay.
capability and for scheduling, right? Which is
Yep, that's
ideal.
right. So then we have I'm gonna put, and what is the name of your podcast?
Sensational Souls podcast, because I interview a lot of the women that have met that are entrepreneurs who are evolving the world. And mostly it was designed so that I could promote the women who come through my program so that I could promote them.
Okay. And are you looking for guests? How do people get a hold of you if they want to be on your podcast?
Well, I have an application form that is also inside
Okay,
of
all right,
Techmatics. You just, I will put the
okay,
link in for that one so that they can click on that.
okay,
If they want to
perfect,
check it
okay,
out, they can, I'm not sure, I was not sure whether it actually took you there or not. On the website, which is transformwithsue.com, there
okay,
is a page that there's a spot where they can even check out the podcast as well as that's where the link is. So there is a
okay.
page
So
for that one.
transformwithsue.com. Okay, I got it on
Yeah.
there. All right, that's good. Okay, so we've got the why, we've got the offer. The marketing actually, from my mind comes in two bits. There's the administrative part, which you referenced in terms of using Go High Level or a CRM as a tool to be able to not only collect people's information as they, use the opt-ins and like participate in the human design chart or download the worksheet or listen to the audio. They're giving you information, you're capturing that, but then also the tech can function as a distributed tool. So you can actually send it out to all of your socials in one place and collect all of the conversations back in one place. So you don't have to flip and flip and flip and flip. So I love that you're using the tech as a support to do your marketing. What about the branding and the look and feel? Have you had and how do you coordinate that across your socials? Is that
Yeah, I actually have working, I have a separate document that has all my fonts and uh, in my colors that I use
yeah?
I have like a Google Doc that has that in so that I can copy and paste. I have set it up inside of Techmatics, but it's not, I know it's coming. I don't think it's all there yet, right?
Right.
To be
Okay.
able
Okay.
to
So
just,
that might be sort of yeah, the setup um branding.
yeah, I do
And
have it set up. I actually went in and set it up in the branding location, but it's not showing up in all the parts of the software yet
got you, got you,
that
got
I've
you. I see
seen.
what you're
Yeah.
saying. Okay. So
Yeah.
okay, so then we'll take that out. And so you've got you're using the tech. What do you find in terms of your sales? So yeah, I also see that there's the administrative side of sales, in terms of, getting your posts out there, that's the marketing, but then managing the conversations back and converting them into your like enrollment into your program. What's your biggest, bugaboo when it comes to sales?
Um, I guess I'm not utilizing the pipeline I know that's in there. Because I've,
Okay.
always done it in an Excel spreadsheet. But yeah,
Okay.
that's one of the things that I haven't really been working with is the sales pipeline. The
Okay.
also the like booking of sales calls, like what I noticed, and I think you and I talked about this the other day, that I noticed because I am using Calendly, right? That
Hmm.
I was giving them the link to Calendly, they were going there, they were booking it, but I wasn't collecting their contact information in my CRM. And that the same thing happened
Right.
when I did one of my programs. I didn't collect their data in the CRM. I had kind of connected with them outside of it, and I didn't have the flow really set up. And I see that
Okay.
I probably need one of those, but you'll be able to
And it can
explain.
save you subscription, right? Like a good CRM like Go High Level or something like that will allow you to have all of those pieces in one place and not have to kind of like pay for multiple subscriptions. Like you wouldn't have to pay for the pro version of Calendly if you had if you were using your Go High Level. So that's good. Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got this mapped out. And then I know your delivery is awesome, and you've got lots of folks, happy folks. So I'm not really concerned about that. So I really feel like, for all intents and purposes for today, that the next step for natural success for you is really focusing in on the lead generation and the conversion process, and making the sales pipeline that they come through more efficient. And we can talk about that a little bit more in the natural entrepreneur section here. I'm going to shut this down. And I'm so glad that you were here today to tell everybody about all of your amazing offers. And we're going to have Susan come into the comments, and you feel free to ask Susan any questions that you want to know about her work in helping you align your natural human design with your best business front, and the areas that you like to serve in. Is there anything else coming up, Susan, that you want to tell us about, or things that you're excited for, that or places people can find you?
Well, I'm really excited about this. I mean, it's only just dropped in the last week or so, which is this whole piece around creating community in using the human design, right? Teaching people really about their types and learning how charts, where I've learned how to do a little bit of work around matching. So like for, connecting with, like, you're looking for a refrigerator friend, as somebody called it a couple of weeks ago. And I was like, oh, I've learned that from a human design chart, we can do comparisons and we can figure out whether we're going to be really good friends. And of course, there's a group that I'm in with Michelle, and we have, all the different centers in our human design. So just like learning how we can complement each other, help each other out based on, knowing who we are and how we can actually help each other just by being who you are, just by showing up authentically as yourself, which I love, right? You have value just by showing up, right? And I think that's really important for people to really know and understand. And yeah, that's what I'm excited about starting a community, and I really, and getting people to, like, just having conversations, like have your charts and compare them and just learn a little tiny bit about that, because my plan is to do some training around that as well. So yeah, that's what I'm excited about.
Oh, well, and I love having Susan in my subscription community, because we have a workspace that I don't know if you guys, but sitting down and doing something, sometimes you're more accountable and you show up if someone else is there. And so I create a space that we participate in, and it's been if you're interested in some kind of being around Susan and her knowledge, don't hesitate to join, because it's quite lovely to have the amazing resource people that we do in there, and Susan one of them. So thank you so much for coming to share today about your offers, and we'll let Susan pop out into the comments. Thanks, Susan, for being here today.
Thank you.
We'll all right, sweet. All right, you guys, there we go. I'm going to basically tell you guys a couple more things that are coming up in terms, oops, I turned myself off. There we go. There's a couple more things coming up that I wanted to tell you about. I am running very soon a challenge. So if you have an offer ecosystem that you would like to get off the ground, you've been thinking about it, but you haven't really, implemented it yet. You don't know, you kind of feeling nervous about, what steps to take. I'm running a 21-day online offer crafting challenge so that we can take you from, I have no idea what I would even do online, to your first sale. So we're going to run this daily. It's going to be intense, but it's going to be an hour every morning for 21 days. And we're going to literally give you the chunks that you can work through day by day to start. And by the end of the process, you will have the basic outline, and you'll have the pieces that you need to be able to get into your first sale in your online business. So I'm very excited about that. But for now, I'm going to leave it there, and remind you that when you're if you're naturally doing your business, when you're a natural entrepreneur, you're a natural success. And so we're going to talk about the steps that are going to help Susan working around her sales next in the Natural Entrepreneur group. So if you want to join us at the top of the hour here in about 15 minutes, love to see you there, get some free coaching, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. So see you guys next week on Natural Success Clinic. Bye.